So hey everyone, Captain Amazing here. So I'm joined today with a special guest, Star Wars dad, Nooch2Gud. So today we're going to do a new series. It's called In Between Two Reviews. So we're going to review each other's accounts and then just have a little chat. So thanks for joining me, Nooch.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Captain. How you doing? It's been a minute, but you had this idea to get together, so I'm excited to have you maybe rip into my roster. That should be a lot of fun.
No, I will look into your roster. I'll probably dive into your mods, but I look forward to it. I'm definitely, this is a roster review, not a roster roast. Yeah.
Maybe another time, perhaps.
Yeah. So thanks for joining me, Nooch. I do appreciate it. Like I said before last time, when we streamed with the Gerbil and Matt Master, I've watched you. I've been a really big fan for a really long time. I think you're one of the bigger reasons I got into content creation. So thank you for that. I think this is it's a really big treat for me to be able to do this with you.
Anytime, man. I'll take the compliment, and it's always fun to get together. And so I'm glad to be here. But yeah, thanks for the compliment, dude.
Yeah. All right. So if you want to just go ahead, take the rings, and then we'll jump into these reviews.
All right, well, let's talk first about your guild, Oakland Republic Raiders. So this is like a classic, because the Raiders are in Las Vegas now.
Uh-huh.
Are you a Raiders fan, or how did this come about that you got into this guild?
So I'm not a big, so if I would, I'm not a big football fan. If I would claim a team, it would be the Raiders. I'm originally from Orange County, California. Like all my stepdad is a huge Raiders fan. My best friend's a Raiders fan. So like if I'm watching a football game, it's probably the Raiders. But that's not why I joined them. I joined them originally just because they are honestly like a phenomenal guild. So they're TW focused, and they have a phenomenal. Well, for one, they punch up in every single guild event. We have a win rate in the 90 percentile for TW. So they're just an amazing group of people. So I've been with them for about 8 months now.
Okay, that's awesome, man. So. Well, let's look at it. I always like to start with ships, and because I feel like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 basic fleets that everybody should have. I'm going to guess yours are in pretty good shape. You start with the Empire, and yeah, you got everything here. Interesting to me that you don't have the gauntlet really ready to go with GAR and Imperial Super Commandos, because everything else is really sharp here. What's the story with that gauntlet?
So it would be really easy to take them to gear 12. I probably should. And if you see the executrix, so normally you would have the Gauntlet Starfighter so that I could split my Empire to use the executrix to take out Profundity, and then use the Chimera to take out Executor. With my, because I do the Leviathan, Triple Attacker, Executor, and Radis on defense, and I take Profundity and Malevolence, Negotiator, Finalizer on offense. And with those, I can take out FU defenses. So if someone throws down Leviathan, Profundity, and Executor, Triple Attacker, I can still beat it. So I haven't needed to split my Empire. And then once I farm C and or Lord Vader, and I have a usable Executrix, because the Scythe summons are based off the Executrix, then I'll bring up the those pilots. Or when I get Maul up and running as well, I'll probably take them up to gear 12 for that. And I just haven't hit that point yet to where I needed to have a usable Gauntlet Starfighter to split the fleets pretty much.
Gotcha. Okay. And first order is looking good. Now, you don't use this to counter Executor, it sounds like?
I can. I will do it usually for fun, because it's one of the it's pretty rare, but it's one of the funner counters in the game for me. And sometimes I do it just for the fun of it. Like you can lose if RNG, just like, like if a ability block doesn't land, if the TIE silencer evades his attack, and you just don't get this done. Sometimes you just lose. But for me, it's just one of those counters where it's just fun to play, and it's 100%. It's just a base about like, can you beat it or not? and it's like a skill based thing. I don't know. I just have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, it absolutely can take out executors, and I still do it to this day.
Yeah, for me, it's like an 85 to 90% success rate. There's the occasional fail, you just deal with that. But to me, the reason it's so fun is because TIE Silencer I think, is the most fun ship in the game. Still today, when it stacks up and you're doing 500,000 damage against somebody at the end of the battle, that's just fun. So that's how I do it.
It is. It is a really fun fleet. So if they don't throw in the like if I'm not going against a Leviathan, I'll probably just Profundity or Chimera because it's a lot more reliable. But if I am going against a Profundity and a Leviathan and there's an Executor there, then yeah, of course I'll just throw the Finalizer at it just for the funsies of it.
There you go. Now, what about your Galactic Republic? So you purchased the bundle, it looks like. Now, wait, did you?
Yeah, so I talked to you about this before.
Okay.
So the only thing I got, because you and I had the same exact benefit of buying the bundle, was four characters. It was like, do you remember the characters? It was like Shakti, Plo Koon, and two others. It was very minimal, but I mathed it out and I was like, okay, on the Kyrotech alone, I would come out like 200, 300 Kyrotech ahead for the $50 if I would have bought the $5 Kyrotech bundle every week, and that's why I bought it. So it had nothing to do with the negotiator. I didn't get any benefit for fleets. It was 4 characters. Shakti was one of them.
Gotcha. And what are your Marauder plans here in the near future or distant future, I guess?
Not until I start farming for Lord Vader, and I don't know exactly when that'll be. And we can talk about it when we go to my characters. But I'm currently, I just finished JMK. I'm working on the Quadmate team with the 2 Poncho Bros. So Lord Vader will probably be my last GL I farm, and I would love to have the Marauder for fleets. But like I said before, I'm able to put a really good fleets defense down and still take out the hardest fleets in the game. So I haven't felt a super need to rush Marauder.
Okay. Did you say Quadmate team with the Poncho Bros?
Yeah, Poncho. It's so hard to find. There's so many. Like I've heard Lover Boys. It's I heard a lot of different things. So I and it's such a mouthful to say Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan. So I think the Poncho Bros sounds the best thing to me. Just to yeah, but that's what I said.
I called him accidentally Patty One for a while there.
Patty One.
Yeah, and Master Gon, I don't know, but anyway, all right. So, okay, I got you there. And then so these are the 4 fleets I look at, because you got Leviathan, you got Executor, you've got Profundity. Fine, those are what they are. These are the ones I look at just because I see so many, like, people are not farming Malevolence now. It's very strange to me. I'll see like a 6 million roster, and they'll have bought the Negotiator bundle, and they have nothing farmed their Malevolence. And it's like, guys, the Malevolence matters. It's like, I realize it's faded a little bit over time, but it's still, the 5th best fleet in the game, 4th or 5th best fleet in the game. And it's got so many uses and so many teams it can beat, and you're really hurting yourself by not farming it at all on your roster.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know why, because I tell people Malevolence should be the first GL get to, or the first get to a fleet you farm. Like even before we had the Negotiator bundle, I always said like 5-star Malevolence, 7-star Negotiator, then 7-star Malevolence. Now I've kind of changed it, 7-star Malevolence, and then you work on your Negotiator on the off chance that bundle comes back for the gas one.
So free to play, I think this has changed now, because you get to level 85 so fast, you don't really have time to get the geos up, and they give you, and I'm actually, Sanjita's doing this right now, and I'm actually doing it on my free to play account under the guise of the new free to play guidelines.
Yep.
And I'm on week 14, and I'm in top 5 in fleets right now with my Endurance and my Galactic Republic fleet, which you would not get with the geos.
Yeah. So I still think that the geos are worth farming because I think the first year an account exists, your main goal should be to get Watt. I think like Darkside GOTB, get those Watt shards because it's so
Yeah.
like they don't have a catch up mechanic that's not just like incredibly expensive. And the same thing with Kiadi Mundi. Like I don't have Kiadi Mundi. I'm not going to farm them with Get 3 unless they give me a reason to.
Yeah, it's all interesting, and I think we're still kind of feeling out how the new, getting to level 85 in 3.5 weeks is going to affect everything. The one thing it absolutely affects is, we used to plan out for level 78 ability materials challenge to be ready for that. You're just not going to be ready for it. You're just not going to have the ships be ready for that on day one at level 78 because you get there at like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that can impact your geo farming because traditionally you'd farm the geos up and that's the fleet you would use to get there. So, but that anyway, you've got these fleets, they're all in good shape. And you've got Leviathan Profundity Executor 9.5 million. I'm going to give your fleets, because this is what I've been doing here lately, but we're going to give your fleets about an 8.5. We need to get that Marauder up and running. That'll kind of round things out, and that Gauntlet. But yeah, well, we'll say 9. We're going to say 9 on the fleet. So there
That's
you go.
fair.
That's what you get today. So let's go take a look at your character roster here. And one of the first things I look at when I go to here is the datacrons, because I'm trying to emphasize to people how important datacrons really are and how much a good datacron set will help you punch up in Grand Arena, because people are not realizing that. And when I make datacron videos, I don't get a lot of hits on them. And I think part of this because I'm really tailored toward the early, new early mid gamers, not toward the late gamers as much, but we're getting there. But datacrons are worth, if you actively farm datacrons like you're doing here, I think it's worth 3 to 4 levels in Grand Arena. Now, obviously, when you get to Kyber 2, where you are, there's a ceiling to it where everything kind of balances out. But I mean, I see people that are down in Erodium with similar rosters to yours, maybe not 5 Galactic Legends, but 3 Galactic Legends, and a couple of the capital ships. And they're sitting down in Erodium because they haven't farmed any datacrons or mods at all. So I'm a huge datacron honk for what they can do for you in Grand Arena.
Yeah, that's true. And I do agree with you. Very few. I will say this. I think, and not this set, but the previous 2 sets kind of opened it up for people to kind of understand datacrons, because a lot of people farmed that the Holdocron, and a lot of people farmed these SOKR or TIE fighter pilot crons. And I think I've, at least from what I've seen from like Reddit and players, they're no longer talking about like how datacrons are BS. They're like, oh, these are the ones I need. And then they kind of, this new purple set, they changed everything. And now that I have seen players engaging in it because the floor is really low on them, and just because it's just support, attacker, and before it was always like the premium team, the newest thing, Gungans, whatever else that players don't have access to, especially these new players. So they're like, okay, I farmed a datacron, it hit the new set, it's useless for me. Maybe they had a crappy level 3 and it didn't really like bring them in or hook them, but now you get a level 6 and it's for attacker, a tank, a support, and now anyone can use these, and I see them engaging more in it. So I think it was smart, but it also hooks those whales because there's so much variance in them and they're so hard to farm, because even the level 9s have multiples, the level 6 have multiples, and you want pretty much specific things for these to get what you need from them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna guess, I don't know for sure, but you can farm datacrons the way that you farmed here without spending a dime on them.
I don't spend any money on
Me
datacrons.
neither. I spend no money in mine. Mine are actually a little bit deeper than this, but you got a lot of level 6s here for the new one. But yeah, I don't spend a dime on datacrons, and you probably got all these health and protection.
Right? Yeah, they're all thick crons. All those are thick crons.
You don't have to spend. You just go into Conquest, and for me, I make datacrons the crux of my Conquest, and I still end up getting other stuff. And I'm at a point with my roster. I don't know how your roster is looking. I have unlocked several of the Conquest and Proving Grounds characters, and I can't do anything with them.
I
Like,
have, if you want to go to the bottom of my account, I have
yeah, let's
every,
get,
I have
yeah,
every one of them, every conquest character. Now I don't have Lucian, so in a few days I won't have him because I unlocked them
right.
at the 5th conquest. So
Hmm.
I do have them all now, but not that one.
But you'll get Lucian. I mean, probably, yeah. You said the 5th Conquest, so a couple
Yep.
months down the road, you get Lucian, and it's not hurting you. Maybe if you were in Kyber one at the very, very top of the game, you've got to have him. But like, I've got the same thing. I've got Maul, I got Boba Fett, Sign of Django. I've even got Malgus at level 1. I have Ben Solo at level 1 because I don't have the Omicrons and the Zetas ready to get them geared up. And honestly, I was getting holds in Kyber 2 with my Ray team without Ben in it anyway with the Holdocron, and I'm still kind of getting holds with their people don't know how to deal with Ray, even up to Kyber 2. So I look at Ben Solo as kind of a nice to have. I mean, he's really nice. I like him, but is he a requirement? I don't know. So yeah, we're in the same boat with those characters. Like the Zeta and Omicron requirements when you're also farming Galactic Legends and other teams is really stiff.
Yeah, I do. I would get Ben Solo up. Like he does. He drastically changes that Ray team. Because it is different. So there's a very clear difference because that's Star Killer food, and yeah, there's plenty of players that aren't that great out there. But for I take most of my team on offense. I now just put my first GL on defense, and that's the JMK on the back wall. So before I was in Kyber 2 just with the fleet's defense. So if you looked at my GAC history, like I always full clear, like I always full clear, and I lose. If I do lose, it's by efficiency. So by like a few points. And these are accounts. I'm only facing accounts that have like everything, like all the GLs, all the GL ships.
Right.
And I still beat them like 5 out of 4 times. I've had a 5-4 record for pretty much like months now. So
5 out of 4 times.
yeah, 5 out of 4 times. I'm still
Wow.
because of the squish. I'm still slowly getting pushed out of Kyber 2 because you have to go 6-3 to stay like pretty much even,
Right.
and then 7 and
Yeah.
2 to climb, which is pretty nuts if you think about it.
Yeah, I've been vacillating Kyber 2 to Kyber 3 because they change the scoring every now. Like I'll go 2-1 and get knocked back to Kyber 3, and it's like, well, wait a minute, how's so? It, it, it still seems like they're adjusting the scoring constantly, but um, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Almost every roster I face has 8 Galactic Legends, all 3 ships. They've got everything. So I'm doing the opposite. I throw a really hard defense on the front bottom wall and make them go through it. And I put a decent fleet defense up, but the rest is just kind of relic characters that aren't going to make much of an impact. So I'm putting up a stiff defense. Now, that might change for me once the Kylocron is gone, because that Kylocron for me on defense has been a huge boom. Like, it causes people lots of problems getting through my defense. So we'll see how I do that once that's gone. But, well, by the time that's gone, I'll have Jabba on the roster, actually. I'm going to have Jabba here in the next week or so. So, um, yeah, I'm the opposite, and that's good. It's good to show that I can throw the stiff defense out there and get up to the same levels of Kyber 2, and you're going with the full offense and the full clear and having the same results. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it is. It is a kind of stressful. Like if I wasn't a content creator, I don't know if I would do that strategy because I have
Right.
like one account. I don't want to start a stream, play for 5 minutes, drop a battle, and be like, okay, guys, that's the end of the stream. Thanks for thanks for coming. So it's always nice to be able to at least like put a show. And sometimes it's bloody. Sometimes it's a knife battle, and I have like a 1980 or something, and I dropped a ton of battles, and then I still win because they just can't get through my ships. So that's nice and fun to do. But it would be nice for me to have more because I feel even at like 9.5 million, I feel like I don't have enough teams to throw down
Yeah.
like a super solid defense and have the ability to full clear.
Right. Right. I gotcha. And that was how I felt for a long time with the full clear was, hey, let's put on a show here. I still managed to have productive streams, and we have fun on the streams, and we'll do some roster reviews afterward, just kind of balance it out. But yeah, I found ways to balance that too. But I get 100% the idea of, man, people are watching my Grand Arena, so let's make it entertaining for everybody instead of just going out there and yeah. I mean, you talk about bloody. When you've got Rey and Kylo and Leia Organa on the front line, and my only other Galactic Legend is Jedi Master Luke, I have some bloody battles, my friend. But it's still fun to try to find ways to get through their defense. That's always the fun part. Hey, let me ask you about. I'm not gonna look at your mods. I briefly look your mods. I mean, you're the mod man. We all bow to you and your mod knowledge. But what's up with your Treya team? Is this like
The Gear
underway,
12?
or what are the plans?
So it's hard for me to put effort into them because like right now I could immediately take them up to relics, but believe it or not, they do everything I need them to do where they are. Like they do literally everything except for if they were relics, they could be they would have a better chance for Riva, but I don't need that specific counter right now. And everything that I need them to do in Grand Arena, they do. So it's hard for me to prioritize them because my account, I think I've talked to you about this before, but my account isn't Grand Arena based. I don't build an account to progress through Grand Arena. The purpose of my account is to build a resource-driven account so I can get more things to get more, like to build faster and faster and faster. And I'm getting close to the point where I have the foundation built and I can build towards like a specialization of my account. And I did create like a farming philosophy of that called my hierarchy of needs. I think we talked about it before, like based off like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but converted into like account building because it's like scalable and modular to any player in the game. So I have that. And that's what I go off of. And I finally I was at a point where I had all the assault battles where I think I only need the Night Sisters at CT3. And that is the last assault battle that I don't have. Like I have it at CT2 that I can do with my Phoenix. And so that's the last one I need until the Poncho Bros came, and now I'm working on them. So I'm like going back towards resource driven stuff now. And then now that I finished my one and only passion project, which was JMK, because he's my favorite character in Star Wars, I then moved into I'm going to go into Jedi Knight Cal Kestis and Bo-Katan so I can get Zepho and Mandalore for my guild.
So what you just said about Treya is what I always say, and I made a video. About every 6 months I make a video. When is your team done? Because people are always like, what's done? Because you're always saying, hey, finish your farm. What is finished? What is finished? And my number one rule for when a farm is finished is it working for you? Is it doing the things you need it to do? And if it is, then just be happy. You don't have to go beyond that level because Arnold has it all at Relic 9. And that's great that he does, but if it's working for you where you are in the game right now, then it's a finished farm and it takes you where you need to be taken. So I agree with you, man, on the Treya there and everything else in the roster. Good stuff.
Yeah, same thing with Imperial Troopers, actually, that you bring it up. Because someone reviewed me and they're like, oh, you didn't finish your Imperial Troopers. And I was actually like, actually, they are finished. Like, they do everything that a Relic Imperial Trooper team can do, even where they are. Like a Gear 12 Veers and Stark and Ranged Trooper with the Relic 5 Dark Trooper and Piet, they can do everything I need them to do at full relics at the gear levels they are. They've done CT3 at this level. This is the level I tell people, and the guides that I made for Challenge Tier 3 for their assault battles, I did it with this gear level. So there's no reason for me until I farm C to take up Veers and Stark to relics. And then at that point, maybe I'll take range up to Relic 3 just so I can use Datacrons. But at the moment, they're perfectly fine.
Yep. I mean, if Piet goes first and you put him against the right team, like a bounty hunter team, they're never going to get a turn. So you don't need the so you're good to go. All right, man. Well, let's see here. So, I mean, your Datacrons are going to be an 8 or a 9. Your mods, of course, are going to be an 8 or a 9, and your roster is going to be looking at like a 7.5 to 8. So, I mean, you're one of our better roster. I'm going to bring you in at an 8, my friend. You get 8 out of 10 on the roster. And this is like the reviewing the pizza. That's a really high score. A 10 out of 10 would be something. Like there's one roster out there where everything is Relic 9, and that's a 10 out of 10. What am I going to say to
Yeah.
that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So I believe it or not, it was probably like a year ago where my roster, and this is what I say for players that, because I'm sure you've heard it a lot of times, where they say Lightspeed bundles aren't going to change anything. You're not going to be able to compete with me. You can't, you won't have the Zetas or the mods or anything like that. A lot of players have, like endgame players that are say like, we don't care about Lightspeed bundles. They're not going to accelerate you to my level. But I would say Lightspeed bundles are the reason why I'm able to compete at Kyber 2. Like I wouldn't have Ray, I wouldn't have Starkiller, I wouldn't have had JML as fast as I did, I wouldn't have Profundity, but I was able to keep up and stop placing luxury Zetas down. I was able to focus on like resources driven and then develop my count in pretty much like 3 years. This is a 3-year-old account to where it is, and I'm not dropping like huge cash spendaring on it. I do the pass plus just because it saves me time, and that's it. Like it's a time convenience thing. So
I agree. The goal of Lightspeed bundles is never going to be to get you to compete with Endgame, but it's good because the game is so deep now with so many different characters and Galactic Legends and teams and everything that the goal of Lightspeed bundles it's truly a catch up mechanic. And I do believe like for you and me with my roster that we're about to look at, it's been able to catch us up where we can compete in Kyber 2, but it's not going to get you to the end game by itself, but it'll save you years of farming in the meantime. I mean,
yeah,
a Kylo free to play rush is 9 to 10 months. That's 9 to 10 months that you can do with with the finalizer, $50. So
yeah.
yeah, it's not an end game thing, and I don't think anybody should look at it that way. But definitely get you into Kyber 2. Yeah, it's a huge positive in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Kyber 2 is, there's not a lot of accounts like yours and mine. Like there's not. They're all, the vast majority of them, I would say, at least like 70% of them are accounts that just like have everything, but they're probably not as Datacron driven, or they don't have the mods, or whatever reason they are where they are, or they just have the apathy. They're not like
Right.
committed to fully engaging as much as they could. But it's still really hard to beat those accounts.
Yeah, it still takes work, man. It still
Yeah.
takes work.
So here we have your Nooch2 Lightspeed account. Do you mind telling me the history of it real quick before we jump in here? Because I know you have multiple accounts.
Yeah, it's almost 2 years old. I started it. It originally started as the Nooch2 Hyper account, and I was carrying my free to play account. Wanted to see what it was like doing a hyperdrive farm at the time because I had my free to play account and I had no other accounts I was doing. Like, well, let's go do a. And I think I had finished. So I had my free to play original account that had farmed Kylo, and they just kept going. Then I think I had completed a Sith Eternal free to play farm at the time, and I saw you could farm him in 9 months, easy, free to play. And I was like, let's see what it's like to do a hyperdrive account. So I started the account as Nooch2 Hyper in September of 2022. September 2022. And so what my goal was to buy the hyperdrive bundle and to always keep myself with enough crystals to do 3 refreshes of regular energy, 3 refreshes of ship energy, 3 cantina, and 3 mod refreshes every single day. So I always made sure I refreshed my crystals for the first year of it to the point where I could do all those every day.
Yep.
And we were able to unlock Executor in 6 months. But I got to the 1 year mark and I had done Executor and I didn't have any Galactic Legends. So then I decided at the 1 year mark, which was last September, 48 weeks ago to be exact.
Yep.
And I said, okay, let's start spending $100 a week because I was, the channel's doing pretty well. So let's invest some of the stuff you guys have, given to me. Let's invest it back into the account. So I started spending $100 a week on the account with no idea that a month later, Lightspeed bundles were coming.
Yeah.
And so now every Galactic Legend on the roster, including Jabba, which we're about to get, has happened in the last 48 weeks on the account of spending $100 a week. And mainly that was, so this is my spending experimental account, which is kind of side by side with some of my free to play accounts. I've always got the spending account and free to play accounts going just to keep those two different experiences going in the game. So that's the story of this account.
Okay. Well, I commend you on your tenacity with being able to play all these accounts. I know I can do it. So I, like I'm honestly pretty impressive to be able to manage all these things, because you progress pretty quickly. Like I see you're free to play, and I watch your videos, and I see that you're not like an Arnold free to play. He's like, hey, before he didn't play Conquest on it. He didn't. He logged in once a day, and I don't think that's what you're doing here. I think you're legitimately like going, taking this all the way. Like you're fully engaging with them. So
yeah, I'm definitely full playing it, and just a little tidbit. Yeah, Conquest is it's pretty rough. Now I'm not into hard conquest on my free to play account yet, the Lord Vader account that I'm doing.
yeah.
So once I get into hard conquest, it'll be a whole nother story. But I'm pretty maxed out with when conquest is around on 2 accounts. I've had 3 going before, and you can just forget about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, man. It's a lot of fun. I always try to keep those 2. I like having the free to play dynamic alongside the pay to play, because I think that, well, I mean, everybody does a little bit of everything, so we can cover the whole audience that way.
Yeah, honestly, I think the most impressive thing to me, and I don't know if I could do this personally, is you gift those accounts out. Like you're free to plays, you finish them, and then you gift them out.
I
Are you
did do
used
that.
to?
I don't do it anymore.
Okay.
And I'll tell you exactly why.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a player who took over an account from an old retired player at one point,
Yep.
and he played on that. And this is in our guild. He was a buddy of mine. He played on that account for a year and a half, and then all of a sudden, the old player decided he wanted his account back,
Yep. Yep.
and he just took it back. He logged in with his original login, and he took the account back. And I found out that, yeah, you can backdoor into your account. Even if you changed all the logins and everything,
Yeah.
you could backdoor into it with the original login that you had on that account. And I don't like the idea of those backdoors being open, whether they're one way or both ways or
Uh-huh.
not. And so I don't give accounts away anymore because of just security concerns over that account.
Okay, but you give them up is what I'm saying. Like you drop an account. Yeah, you drop your account, and then you start a new one. So you're constantly running through, and I think that's great for your content, because you're always like there with new players. You have content that's relevant to them, and you're staying fresh with that information. Because like for me, my free to play, I played it for like 2 weeks, and then I like all my knowledge is from those 2 weeks. Everything else is like so dated, where the free to play now is so different. When I look at these like super smaller accounts, it's pretty dated information that I'm trying to base like what they should do on, and they're all level 85 pretty much right away, because they level up so quickly now. And it's like, okay, all the advice that I have of what the normal timeline that you should have completed by 85, it's kind of like, okay, well, you have very little time. You can't even build a complete team. You can't build your complete fleets. You don't have your Zeta income coming in yet, and you're kind of like starting from complete scratch at that level 85, which is like this new dynamic that we're probably all still trying to figure out.
That's exactly why I keep starting these accounts and then run them for a year and a half, whatever, and then give them up, because I think it's important. There's experienced players will make a free, Otto makes his free to play guides every year, and it's great. And I make my free to play guide. Everybody makes a free to play farming guide, and it's really great. But I think if you're not experiencing it like it is right now in the game, then I think your farming guides just doesn't have the depth to it that it really needs to have. And that's why I keep restarting the accounts. I did the Java free to play account that took 1 year to, like, literally 1 year to the day to unlock Java free to play. And I did that because they had changed, a year and a half ago.
Yeah, the Mark II.
Yeah, the Mark II currency and everything. And that changed the way you could farm for Jedi Knight Luke, which in turn changed the way you farm for Java. So I wanted to see that. So we did that account, and then that was done. So I put that account away into my I have a side guild that I do for gifting. And so that's where the Nooch Graveyard accounts. And then we started this account, and then within a few weeks of starting this account, boom, they did all the changes to free to play, level 1 to 85. And so I actually changed course on a lot of my farming there, right about the 5 or 6 week mark. Um, which now at 5 or 6 weeks, you're already playing Grand Arena. You may have already played through a round or two of it. So yeah, I like to keep it fresh with the free to play just to see exactly what's like out there, because they're going to keep making these changes and keep the catch up mechanics are going to keep flowing into the game as the game progresses.
Okay, and then you're in the House of Ren, which I know is that your guild? Are you? I don't think you're a guild leader, right? You're just a member in there.
I'm gonna say I'm the token guild leader.
Okay.
So yeah, we had started up our own guild when I started up my free to play account back in December 2020. We started our own guild because my goal was to actually help players, um, help new players. Like I had tired of the top tier guild, playing experience, and it was just too much for me. And I actually burned out and quit the game for a while because of it. So I wanted to come back and get a bunch of new players and help them out in a guild, which I did successfully. Then there's that fade over time, and I didn't have as much time to lead. We merged with House of Ren. That's been wow, over 2 years ago now. And I'm a leader in House of Ren. And at the beginning, I had some responsibilities, and now I'm just more of a figurehead at this point as a
Okay.
leader.
So you have an officer corps that keeps it going pretty much. Because
Absolutely, yeah.
I was like, there's no way you have the time to do the logistics and run. Because I know that in itself is like a full-time job. So
I barely have time to check Discord for messages because every time I check in the Discord, I've got 100 messages and 8 DMs. And so
honest,
people get, if I don't respond to you, it's just because I got too much going on.
honestly, I'm pretty impressed that you even like had the time to to respond to my messages. So thank you for that. Because I imagine like the amount of DMs that you get. Because I remember you saying in stream like, hey guys, I just like if you DM me, I may not respond to you. Like I just can't keep up with it. So thank you for responding. and yeah, more power to you,
Yeah.
dude.
A little life thing that I learned along the way is um, when something bothers you that happens, try and do the opposite when you're in that same position. So it always bothered me when I would reach out to, as a small content creator, reach out to larger ones and like not even get like a, hey man, I'm busy, sorry. I just like an ignoring of it. And so I try to respond to as many as I can, even if I have to say, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I can't engage in this conversation. Because I get people that try to engage me both in game and in Discord with like long, drawn out discussions about stuff. And I'm like, I just can't do it, man. I'm really
Yeah.
sorry. I'd
Yeah.
love to have this. But go to my Discord. Lots of people there will have this to talk with you. I don't have the time for it right now. But I do try to at least say something to most people that send me a DM. And now I'm gonna get a bunch of DMs, but
Yeah. No, I do.
try to do that.
Yeah, I do the same thing where like, cause I'll review someone and then they'll follow up with like DMs or something like that. Or they'll have like, they'll see a video and they'll be like, hey, can you help me with this? And if I have time, a lot of times I'll shoot a couple messages, but if it starts to really draw out, I'll be like, hey, just ask me in my actual, like, I have an Ask Captain thing. Like people will jump in there and answer for me if I can't get to it. And it's a lot quicker because especially like I don't live in the US, I live in Japan. So I wake up and there's just like all this stuff there. And I'm like, well, if you ask me in my actual, like the places that I set up for you to ask me, then other players who are also very knowledgeable will come in and probably answer your stuff for me, so that you can get your answer in a more timely thing. But yeah, but good for you. All right, so let's jump into this. So 8 million GP, 4.7 in characters, 3.4 in ships. I'll say this: if you're in Kyber 3, Kyber 2, the 8 million is not the norm. Like I'm always the smallest at like 9.5 million. I think one time I faced someone who was like lower GP than me. But they did have all the GLs and all the GL ships. They were just like extremely lean. So they, but good for you. Oh wow, only 2 years time played on this. So good for you. A little less actually, just 11 months. 1 year, 11 months on there. So nice. That's
right.
Yeah, pretty impressive. So
And yeah, I agree. And part of the reason I'm in Kyber 3 right now is on vacation last week. I just went in and did one battle and got out. I didn't have any time to play, so I dropped down to Kyber 3 last week.
your age of your account is shown in your ships. I'll say that because it's about 2.5 years, 3 years is when you start breaking some bottlenecks that you haven't broken quite yet. Which there's not much you can do, and I wouldn't have accelerated it. Is these level 1 ships that you have? Yeah, that's like a byproduct of the age of your account that just like will get broken sooner or later. You're getting close to it, right? As you're running out of ships here to level, so you still have like that TIE interceptor at gear 1, level 1, which kind of hurts my heart. And then like like I could understand the TIE Reaper or something like that, or Rex's ship, were really inconsequential, but there's some true power on the field here. So I do have to ask, like, so you have a executor killer here. You have a possible 2-shot Leviathan viable fleet here. If you would just you don't have to do anything with that, like even gear 8 or something before Chirotech, but if you just take this TIE interceptor to level 85, upgrade her abilities, and then you have that TIE defender at gear 12, which can take out an executor, like a fully fleshed out executor where you are.
I gotta be honest, I've just become so addicted to the finalizer counter that I've never done that. So it's probably just something I need to do. The Inquisitors are in the near term going to be on my roster. So it's just something I need to do a little bit of more homework on and take advantage of that. Part of me looks at it like I don't have any other use for the finalizer on my roster.
Yeah, so honestly, I would so I use the Chimera. If you would just gear 12, like gear 8 your second sister, gear 12 your Thrawn, then this team, believe it or not, can 2-shot Leviathans. I don't know if you have a Leviathan killer, like 7-star Leviathans. I had a very, very similar where I used the TIE Bomber, the Defender, the Imperial TIE Fighter, or not the Defender, I'm sorry, a TIE Bomber, TIE Fighter, and TIE Advance starting, and then first term reinforce with TIE Defender, and then second TIE Interceptor. And I was 2-shotting 7-star Leviathans, because as long as you get to that ult, you it's not as perfect, right, without the scythe. It's not going to be a 1-shot, but all you have to do is get to that ult the bomber, and then literally anything will clean up the Leviathan at that point. So that's how, when players thought like, oh, I don't have a scythe, I don't have the Marauder, I don't have profundity, I don't have a way to beat their Leviathans, and I had my Leviathan on defense, I went in with this Chimera and I 2-shotted it before I had that scythe. So this team is like actual viable end game stuff if you just a little like investment that you have, just like the change in your couch right now could get this fleet fully going. And then it's a much more reliable executor counter than finalizer. It's super reliable even with the gear 12 TIE defender. So I promise you, if I had an option of, if I'm gonna even right now, like if as long as this was like if you had the first turn reinforcement with the TIE interceptor, even with the gear 1 level 1 pilot, I would take that over finalizer because it would be more reliable as a counter for executor.
Then what do you do with the finalizer? It just goes away.
It's just a cleanup if I need it. Yeah, because you don't like because it's a 1-shot. It's a reliable 1-shot. Because what's that?
I love the finalizer.
Yeah, you can still do it, but you can use it to beat negotiators with Marauder, or you can use that to beat a lot of stuff. Like it's a really good. So if you usually for the Marauder counter, you want the TIE interceptor to go first because it can mark Anakin, and that's the whole thing. Like you kill Anakin, you win the fight, right? And then you just ult the Marauder. So you would want that TIE interceptor to be a little more oomph, because when Anakin's on the board, he can just like has the potential to 1-shot defender. So that's why you come in, you go all in on Anakin. First reinforcement, TIE interceptor, mark Anakin, kill Anakin, and then you come in with TIE defender, get to your alt Marauder, you win. And that's like the way that I do that counter if you want to. But like it's a viable ship. Like you will always use it for anything like there. I would fail to see where on offense, depending on even if you took Executor Profundity on offense, the third offensive ship I would use if I was you would be Chimera over anything you have here.
Yeah, it's something I need to learn and something I need to look into. But yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, but I do see the age here. Are you working? Are you still farming your ships? Are you farming these Rexes and TIE Reaper and all this stuff like slowly but surely?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, just never be afraid to farm your ships. And I'm still farming ships. Right now I'm farming Emperor Shuttle, the TIE Reaper. I think I'm done with my Leviathan ships. So yeah, I'm still farming the MG 100 Star Fortress. It's only at 44 out of 100. So I've got, and Raven's Claw. So I actually got those 4 ships farming right now. When I get those 4 ships farmed, and then Rex I grab whenever I see it and I can. That's not really a priority, but I'll have all the ships done. So when they bring out more capital ships later, I won't have to go farm any of the old ships. I'll have them all done here in the next few months.
Yeah, because there's only what 67 ships in the game. That's what I tell people, like never stopping farming your ships. Like it's just there's so limited few of them that it's not even prohibitive. Like you will push through, you'll get everything. I have like I'm missing one. The one ship of mine isn't 7 stars, the comeuppance, because it's a cantina farm and it works just fine at 6 stars. So maybe one day I'll take it to 7, but it's not a priority. But yeah, this yeah, like you said, Malgus, this hurts me too. So believe it or not, your Sith fleet, you can put it with the endurance or anyone on defense, like endurance executrix. Like you can throw that executrix on defense with this this Sith fleet, and that is it's almost, it has the survivability of Leviathan. Like that Sith fleet is with the Fury class TIE Interceptor, the B2 bomber, like, and I know you just probably haven't got to it yet, but you have some true power just sitting here that, like, offensively and defensively, that could change your fleet game, because it takes a real fleet, even with endurance. Like you take endurance and you throw the Sith under them, and that is a fleet that requires a counter that's like a legitimately powerful fleet. You're not just gonna throw home one at it or something and beat it, or Radis. You need something that's like actually pretty powerful, because the survivability of this fleet doesn't come really from the Leviathan. A lot of times it comes from the Fury class Interceptor and that B2 combo. And if you go with like Fury class B2 TIE Dagger starting, and then Sith Fighter Mark 6 Interceptor Scythe whatever shuttle, and the reinforcements, you'll have some people that won't be able to clear it. And it's all here waiting for you. You just have to reach out and take it. Like,
it's a matter of resources.
No, I 100%.
Yeah. So, and I do focus on one farm at a time to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely I mean, Leviathan is coming here. By the end of the year, I'll have Leviathan, and you can see that I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of allocating resources and what they're going to right now. But yeah, that I'll take that to heart as well.
Yeah, so I love this R9 Jar Jar. I do have a kind of a question mark for it. So you have an R9 Jar Jar, but you have an R5 Captain Tarpals, which means for raid participation you're getting 1.2 million for it. And the purpose of, I don't know if it was like content or if it was like some sort of goal or something. So why such like the huge variance of level or relic levels on your Gungans?
It was a momentary weakness on the stream when I unlocked Jar Jar and took him straight to 9. That's
okay.
But honestly, I don't farm for raids. I just don't.
Yeah.
If I end up, because with the raids changing every 8 to 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not going to jump into the make teams specifically for raids if it costs me a lot. If I can take my Jawas to gear 12 easily, I'll do that, something like that, for Crate Dragon. But I don't do any specific farming specifically for raids unless my guild really, really needed it, which we don't. We've got these raids covered and we're doing fine. So the Relic 9 Jar Jar was just a fun thing on stream when I unlocked him.
Okay. And then how have they been doing? I imagine you throw these on defense, right, with the Boss Nascron. So I imagine that is a recipe for success, because you need very specific counters for that, like very specific. I think Sith beat it, like the Treya. I think that's somewhat new. Not everyone knew that in the last 5v5 and 3v3. I do know the Savage lead. Treya beats it, and that's how I end up beating these. But how, like, they've been holding out for you pretty well?
Even in Kyber 2 and Kyber 3, I get holds with them about 80% of the time, meaning people take at least 2 battles to kill them.
Yeah.
And I get just a pure hold where they are not killed at all, probably 40 to 50% of the time.
Okay.
They're just it's just a monster team with the once the Datacron is gone, I'm sure they'll go back to, they're still going to be good, but they won't be as good. But yeah, they're just really difficult for people to deal with on defense, especially when I put them out there with, I've got Rey, Leia, Kylo with the Kylocron, and Jar Jar sitting there on defense. It makes people really have to struggle to get through that front wall.
Yeah, I could see that. How have you? What would you recommend for the Omicrons? You happy with them?
Yeah, on Jar Jar,
Yeah,
or in general.
the Jar Jars. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Like,
he's on defense, so I haven't really used him. I can't say I've experienced him, using those Omicrons in offense. That may change once the Datacron expires. Maybe then he
yeah.
becomes an offensive team. So it's hard for me to really answer
Hmm.
if I'm happy with those Omicrons. I mean, I guess I'm happy because they're getting holds all the time.
Yeah, so that's the test, right? Like, do they get holds? I will say this, like a good test of a good team is defensively, are they getting holds? And I think that's much more valuable than like, don't get me wrong, I love like the Bane, 100 being an offensive character, and especially with his Datacron where it was just like, here's your free ticket to a free win this Grand Arena. Like, you get one free ticket to beat any team on defense for free, and that's what Bane was with his Datacron. So that was super nice.
I agree. And, but even without the Datacron, I'm still killing Leia and Rey. Not 100% anymore
Oh
on
man,
Leia.
those are some risky counters right there.
I like a little risk
Yeah,
in my gameplay, my friend.
Yeah, because I don't use them because for Leia, I've been using Riva. So Riva beats Leia, even with her tank cron, even with the support cron. Like with Riva with the Riva cron, beats all the variations of Leia. So I've been using that. And then I've been using Star Killer with the attacker cron to beat Rey's, because now that makes it really reliable. So that's super nice. And then Darth Bane, I've been going with, because pretty much with my defense, it's like 100% efficiency. Like, I lose a match, I lose the game, and I'm beating them. Like these massive accounts, they'll drop on something really dumb. They'll drop on like a Grievous or something, or a low gear Iden or something, and then I'll win. Or they can't clear my fleets in one shot. But like with this, with your so with counters, I try to go for the most reliable, at least like 90% reliable. And Darth Bane I've been using for Lord Vader. Like, even with his protection up, like, he just chews through that team like it's absolutely nothing. And I've been having, even with JML, with like things that can cleanse his protection up, like a Shock T in there. I've been having unreliable results. So I just have been throwing Darth Bane against him. But also he beats Riva, so I use him against Riva or Lord Vader, honestly.
So this demonstrates our different approaches to Grand Arena. Because I've got such a stiff defense out there, I'm not left with a lot of options on offense. So I've got Jedi Master Luke on offense, I've got Bane, I've got Treya, I've got Starkiller, and outside of that, I don't really have much that can deal with those big, heavy teams. So that's why I do end up using Bane against Rey or against Leia Organa a lot. And I don't have a Riva team up and running yet. I do have Riva. I have Riva.
So
But again, it's just resources. It's 3,000 Kyrotechs I got to find if I'm going to get that Inquisitor team up and running.
I do have to ask, why do you have the Gamgorian on the like the track team? Like, why is this guy a sprinter? What's like, why do you have this guy so
Jabba's mod.
Oh, okay, I was about to say, why is he so?
I made a mod set for Jabba, and I actually just sat down last week and I just created that from scratch. Those are all mods that I did not have last week, and so And I'm gonna have Jabba literally in the next week. I'll have Jabba, and I'm like, I don't usually do this, but I just threw them all in Gamma so that I can just
Okay.
transfer over to Jabba as soon as I get him.
That makes sense because I was like, this is I was like because
Yeah.
I was like looking at your speed and I was like relic 3 so high and I was like, hold on, this is sorted by speed. I was like, there's no way that I was like, what is this like absolute speed demon 300 speed cam guard over
Those
here?
are Jabba's mods, and they'll be on Jabba
Yeah.
in the next week. Yes.
Okay. I had to ask, right? Like,
Yeah.
I
Great
had,
question.
had to ask. All right. So I do like that you farm Jar Jar, even though you're not huge on raids. I'll say this. Right now, if you miss the Jar Jar train, I believe he's 100% skippable. I am going to farm him because I think he's going to be relevant for Conquest for a really long time. They have unique buffs, they have unique debuffs, they have unique characters, and I think you should, if you can, have at least one team for all factions, and they're a unique faction, right? So I think it's worth farming, and even where you are, I think they're going to do you a lot of good for a really long time, even though you only have the one one relic 9 on them. And I don't think I get with you. I get you the same thing. Like you just need an appropriate level of raid income for what your guild is expecting, and that's it, right? So I think you could probably get that with what you have here. Yeah. So you don't. So you bought the Lightspeed bundles. You don't have the Zeta on B1, so you haven't been able to do that B1 trick. You haven't experienced the pure joy of annihilating your enemy with your Legion of B1 as they rain hellfire down on their. It really is fun though. It really is one of the funner bugs I've had in this game.
I know it's fun. I don't take a lot of pleasure in raids,
I get it.
I'm glad that people do. For me, like I know like Gerbil is out there and like, oh, we tweak this and tweak that, and he was, and I just put a good team in there and I auto it, and if I got a good score, I accept it. So I feel like there's trade-offs for everybody, especially with carrying a couple of different accounts and making sure I'm making content on both of them. There's got to be some kind of trade-off in there, and for me,
It's raids,
I've
yeah.
never really been a big raid guy. The only time I was a big raid guy was when Kylo was soloing the Heroic Sith raid.
Hmm.
Other than that, I've never been a huge raid guy since being. I always do them. I always participate and I play, but it's just not And I did add the Luminara Unduli Zeta just because
Yeah, I saw that.
I can put her out there as a lead and I can auto it and good things happen.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought it was if you bought the $20 bundle, the one Zeta comes with that it comes with that cost to kind of
Right. And I'll tell you that right now I'm sitting on 6 Zetas, and since Jabba's coming this week, they all go to Jabba. So
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Well, good job. Because 100%, I would have said like you need Jabba in your life, but I'm sure you know. All paths lead to Jabba. When I do a roster review, in my head I'm like, how am I going to get you to Jabba? What do you have to farm in between here and Jabba? But the end goal is always like, because as a mod guy, like having smugglers run 2, it's truly transformative with how much. And you've had Jabba on accounts, like how great smugglers run 2 is, and he's useful in ROTE. He's TW. He's probably the best TW GL because he has 2 TW Omicrons on his team. Like it's just a phenomenal. Even if you're having trouble with like Leia or JMK in Grand Arena, like with Datacrons aside, like he can beat those teams. So all in all, like phenomenal GL. So I'm really happy you're farming. You're getting that. I'm gonna take a guess here and say after you finish Jabba, you're going for the Poncho Bros, right? The Master Qui-Gon, Padawan Obi-Wan.
you got it. That's what's happening.
Yeah. So I saw them 7 stars, gear 12, gear 11. So that's what I would say probably would be a next priority for you, like for those, right? Like those Really good return of investment on them, getting them even relic 7. I would say for your count, like I don't know how your guild is for like droid brains and higher relic material. I like relic 9 I think would be a good investment. The difference between 7 and 9 is like another credit heist a month, and then you start getting free relic 9 relic 8 material every month. So I think it's worth it.
I agree with that, and that's something I'm definitely gonna. I'll probably have them done by the time I get to the 1 year mark on this account, or the 1 year spending $100 a week. So the 2 year mark on this account, I'll have them done. I'm trying to make sure that I'm in good shape for Ahsoka,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be an uphill climb. You know, I've only got gas at 5 stars, so I've got to invest in him as soon as I get all that stuff done. And the Inquisitors are on the list. So the stuff on my list is your what did you call them, the bros,
Oh, the Poncho Bros.
yes, the Poncho Bros, the Inquisitors, the Leviathan, and Ahsoka. That's the stuff I gotta have by the end of the year.
So
That's
I
my
would,
goal.
yeah, I would say the Leviathan, because I originally thought, and I'm sure you were probably thinking something similar, that before they announced GL Ahsoka, I thought it was a GL ship that was coming. I thought it was time. That was the time where they would announce a GL ship. The second that they announced what the next 2 Conquest characters was and GL Ahsoka, I'm thinking the next GL ship can't come earlier than March of 2025. Because it's probably going to have a conquest ship with it. So to March of 2025, I think, is when we'll get it, which means Leviathan is the top of the meta for a long time, and the stock of Leviathan went way up. So I had it a few months after unlock, and it's been an excellent investment, and I think it continues to be one. And for the longest time, I was like, I wasn't recommending people to farm Leviathan, because I was like, just farm the 2024 ship. Like whatever comes out in 2024, it's going to be a tier above Leviathan, and it may not, you may be in a better position than farming, you know, Malgus and his ship and all those other things from scratch. But now that it's like still at the earliest 5 months away for what is it, I'm bad, 7 months maybe, 7 months away. So I think the Leviathan is an excellent investment, and it will be for a long time.
I agree, and even when the new ship comes out, I'm going to make the assumption that like Profundity and Executor, they're pretty even. You know, there are advantages to both of them. But so Leviathan will continue to have a lot of utility even after the new ship comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's still going to be good. Like we don't know, because the new ship may go on defense, and who knows? Maybe the only off meta counter will be Leviathan, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know. So I'm looking at your mods here. They're not bad, honestly. Not decent. So you hit pretty much the benchmarks that I'm looking for what my mods are for GLs. And a lot of people don't. Like they don't. I think do you have a protection arrow or I'm sorry, protection circle? I have the eye. So
I need to fix that one, but
yeah.
it's just something I haven't gotten around to.
Yeah, I have the same thing on JMK, because you want to mod JMK exactly how you mod SOKR. And I still see people, like still to this day, I think it literally today, I saw someone with an offense triangle on SOKR, and it kills me. It kills me. The potential damage that they lose there for not having just one crit damage triangle is insane. Like this guy crits.
Right.
He crits. He'd always be critting the ABCs. So
Is that what it is? Always be critting?
yeah, ABCs always be critting. So, but I like your mods. You're really solid. You have an insanely slow. Like I know JML is an old man, right? Like he's like you blow on him and he's that close to death because he's he's a tired old man. But he doesn't have to be this slow. Like I do like a faster JML.
Oh my God! Look at his mods. Look at his mods.
You have 3 health. Yeah. I do.
That's why.
Yeah. I don't have the graphics, but
Dear God.
I'm hit you with what is it? Fix your mods. Yeah. I was like, why is he so slow?
Oh my Lord.
Fix.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna fix that right now. I'm
yep.
glad you found it.
Gotta fix your mods there. Cause I was like, this guy is. I was like, this is honestly. I was like, this is probably the slowest, one of the slowest JMLs I've ever seen. But yeah, that would make sense because his mods are. If it wasn't for this, one of these mods.
I just popped his speed by 99. Yeah, 30. Okay, so I just increased his speed by 29.
Okay. Yeah, because you have him relic 9. I really do enjoy that. I think it's important, right? Like it increases his survivability and offense by a third of his whole team, so that's good. But I do like him to be a little faster. I aim for 550 because I don't know if what you use him for, but when I'm fighting like a JMK or a Lord Vader and I can outspeed them and I can E-flux before they can do anything and put out those ability blocks, that's a completely different match than if they go first and then, then he triggers Frenzy on Maul and then he pretty much has an ult and then he gets to a second ult and then I'll have to clean it up because I can't, like Lord Vader will be ramped before I can like finish him off. So that's why I like having around 550 speeds. You're still not going to beat those speed demon Lord Vaders that you'll see, but you'll outspeed a good chunk of them if you can get them around that benchmark. And I do like a little more potency, but like I'm sure he does what you need him to do, right? Like I don't know what you're using.
I didn't even know I had the. I didn't know his mods are messed up. So there you go.
It's okay. Happens to us all. Like we all. Maybe you're just like switching them out or changing mods and sometimes I do that too where you're like, oh, I would need this or that, or maybe you got I think probably you got a good protection arrow here for the health one and you're probably like, oh, let me change this speed arrow, and you probably threw this in here and then you didn't realize that it was like a speed for a health or something. Maybe. Yeah, it's okay. I don't have that nice graphic of fix it. Maybe I should make them. 346 is your fastest non-GL. That's good. So overall, man, you have a blazing fast Captain Tarpals too. So your speeds seem to be holding pretty well. 306. You don't have profundity, right? Do you have profundity? You don't? You do?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I would get some 6 dot mods here for your Radis, at least for the speed. I know it's not like the most important, like it is a very fast ship. It's not like Executor, where Executor is like you have to have your speed dialed in. The profundity is a lot like a lot looser, right? Not as important. But I would 6 dot those mods, but
It's not while we speak, yeah. And I just put Luke's previous circle. Since I moved out his circle, I just put that on Radis there.
On Radis, okay. Yeah, and then you got your Sprinter Gam Guard. So I do have to ask, what do you use Commander Ahsoka Tano for? Like, where do you place her?
Yeah, these things are with the Padme team. She really elevates that team. Well, let me take it back. I actually will stick her 5v5. She goes on my Rey team on defense.
Okay.
And the benefit to the Rey Cat's benefit to Rey is substantial.
Yeah, I could see that.
And really makes that. And she kind of, without Ben on that team, she kind of makes it. I mean, when I put Ben on there, eventually she's gonna make it even better. She really benefits that Rey team. And I have an old video where I was climbing through all the Galactic Legends a while ago with Commander Ahsoka on a Rey team.
Yeah, because I believe it or not, I didn't have Commander, so I had her at Gear 1 level 1 for like 8 months. I was like 8 months. And it wasn't until I farmed JMK because my Padme was low Gear 2. And I didn't have a home. So once I got her to like her relics and her Zeta as well, I was finishing up just like a little brief window where I was finishing unlocking JMK. I just put him with dash, and I got some holds because my dash is pretty fast. He's like, at the time he was like in his 340 speed or something, and so he goes first. He has like, he's juiced up with all that offense, and he like sometimes got me a sneaky hold. But Yeah, I just struggle because a lot of people are like, she deserves to be invested in. And I don't know if I believe in that, because a lot of people will look at the bottom of your roster and they'll be like, Cal Kestis deserves to be invested in. Third Sister deserves to be invested in. Queen Amidala deserves to be invested in. No one will ever say Dad Bob Boba deserves to be invested in, but like Ben Solo deserves to be invested in. And when you look at it, it's like, okay, well, what are they like? What are the tangible benefits? What am I getting that I didn't have? Like, if I have them, am I getting more resources? Am I getting a new assault battle? Am I unlocking like a Smuggler's Run 2? Are they going to win me like grand arenas to where I'm going to be getting a bunch more crystals? And a lot of times it's probably no. Like, no, they're not. It's just people like elevate this team. If you don't have the complete setup for them, then are you really like, do you really deserve to get them up but they don't have a home? And I probably would have focused on Ben Solo over Cat for that team, over like, if I, like priority wise, I don't know when you probably unlocked them, just because Cat's such an older one, you probably just unlocked her way before you unlocked Ben Solo, right?
Yeah, I just got Ben Solo last round, last month or so.
Yeah, so I do think that would be great for you. I don't know when I know you're farming tons of great things, but I think Ben Solo really does change Rey. Like, it just adds that level of complexity that gives people the opportunity to lose, and that's what I try to do, is give my opponents opportunities to lose, and that's the best you can do.
Yeah, and to quote Clint Eastwood, deserves got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so
Um, yeah, it's all about utility on your individual roster. You can't just say, this character needs to be upgraded because they're good. It's like, well, if they're not good on this roster, it doesn't really matter.
yeah, and I could see why Inquisitors are on your radar, because like having Third Sister here at Gear 1 level 1, a lot of people would say, because she's like, so that to me it's like that she's like a GL, like she's like a GL that, like, as if you had Jabba here and you had him at Gear 1 level 1.
Buddy, I agree with you, but I just got
Yeah.
that last row too. That's a new addition, but it's like, again, 3,000 Kyrotex is what that's going to cost me.
No, I get
And
it.
also, whatever, 8 Zetas and 3 or 4 Omicrons. I just don't have it available.
Mhm.
So, and I want to make sure I'm ready for Ahsoka, because we don't really know the schedule for us. There's just a lot of
Yeah.
priorities, and I do need to get her done. It's just a matter of when can I prioritize it. It will be by end of year. Just don't know exactly when yet.
Yeah, I totally get you. And I think it's just a byproduct of the age of your account, right? Like, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, because I'm sure you're sitting there and your viewers are like, use this team, use that team, use this team. And you're like, brother, like, brother, you think if I didn't have that character, like I wouldn't like use it? Like, I know the counters. It's just, like, I just don't have it. Like, there's only so much time, there's only so much investment, and even if you're throwing money at the game, there's only so much you can invest in. And I think you have good priorities. Like, you have everything in here. I don't see anything in here that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's Lightspeed bundles. You farmed Leia. You farmed. You got your payouts for SLKR. You got Rey. You had the Rebel bundle, so you have JML, and you're going into Jabba, and then you have Executor Profundity. There's no waste here. Like, this is a super lean account as far as what you're farming and the farming synergies. So I totally get what you're doing and why you're doing it, and it makes tons of sense. It does make ton of sense, and that's why I don't like when people look at the bottom of your account and they're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why don't you have these things invested? And it's like, yeah, brother, I would love to have all the resources in the game, but that's just not how this game works. And it takes time and effort to kind of like flesh all these things out. And I'm sure once you can, you'll get your Night Sisters up, and your Sith Empire, and your Ben Solo, and your and just having the shards doesn't mean you have to prioritize it. You just have to still go through the natural order of the game as it goes, and then having the shards does is it gives you the flexibility to choose your farm in the order that you want. And that's why I tell people like always shard farm for all the GLs, knock out all the shards in the game, and then you can choose, pick your choice, choose your journey when you want to go. So
Shard your gas hole, man.
yeah, I and so pretty much are you now investing your Mark II into gas, or are you holding off on that?
Once I get Jabba done, I'll be investing my Mark II into gas. So I got to make sure I get Jabba done first.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that's done, yeah, because I'm going to be ready for Ahsoka on day one. And to do that, I've got a lot of work ahead of me. But again, we don't know the amount of work. We don't know all the characters yet. We don't know the time frame. But there's always, they always give you time at the end of a Galactic Legend farm to get it all straightened out. And so I'll have time to do that when we get, in the last month or the run up to it at the end.
So do you plan? Because I know like signal data. Is signal data your bottleneck? Is that like a huge bottleneck for you? No, not at all.
No, I've got hundreds of signal data. So I don't have a lot of Cantina farms right now. So all I do every day is farm signal data.
Really? Signal, I am struggling. Signal data is such a huge bottleneck. Like I have thousands of, like I have relic 9 materials, relic 8s, thousands of CCBs, bronzium wire rings, everything like I'm like a dragon sitting on a pile of gold of scavenger pieces, but I have zero, like literally zero signal data.
Left to right on the 3 single datas, I've got 821, 626, and 506.
Oh wow. So are you struggling with bronzium wiring?
Um,
What's your bottleneck?
my bottleneck is just making sure that I get the teams like my bottleneck is making sure I get the team done. I'm not going to move on and farm the next team until I get it done. But yeah, bronzium wiring is always a challenge. Um, I don't have, those resources are not maxed out, but I'm always careful when, if I'm in the middle of farming Java, I don't want to go finish the Poncho Bros, in the middle of that and make sure I get it. And all of a sudden I missed a bunch of gear and then I'm a week behind on Java that I don't have for Grand Arena. So I finished the farms. When I say finish your farms, I stick to it. And so I'm going to finish Java, then I'll do the Poncho Bros, and then we'll kind of see where we sit with Ahsoka at that point. And then if we're in good shape, I may go to Inquisitors at that point. Take a look at my Sith Empire. I still need to get Darth Revan.
Yeah, I
I don't have
saw.
Darth Revan on this roster.
Yeah, I saw that they were the Malgus on his ship, the level 1 level 1 Malgus. I love my Malgus. Do you have an account with Malgus, or have you had Malgus?
I had Malgus on my other account. I love
Yeah.
Malgus.
Mm-hmm.
It's just again,
Yeah, priorities.
shiny objects ahead,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting here ready for Jabba. I go over and do Malgus, and then I gotta wait again. Like I said, 2 weeks to get Jabba done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just taking one step at a time, and each step I go through, finish that, finish this, and go to the next thing. So it's just a matter of prioritizing. But Malgus without Darth Revan isn't going to be as effective either. So I got to get that. I'll be doing the Darth Revan event soon. I was kind of waiting to see if they were going to do a Lightspeed bundle.
Yeah,
But
I could.
I don't think they're going to do a Revan Lightspeed bundle just because of the Leviathan.
Yeah, I don't know. I think November, December is a good time to wait to see what, because I've been telling people like, hey, wait, because people have like, do they go for, like, they won't have Lord Vader, they won't have C, and then they're farming towards GL Ahsoka, and they're like, I'm closest towards C, and I tell them like, at least wait until December. Like November is the anniversary of this game. December's Christmas. Let's see what Lightspeed bundles come out then, and after that, like, choose your farming pathway. But I think Lightspeed bundles, like, who knows? Maybe we'll get a Sith Empire, Old Republic Lightspeed bundle, but I could see that happening. That would be great for your account, honestly, right? Like that would.
Yeah, that's what I was holding out. But at this point, if I don't get it soon, I'm just going to go ahead and get Darth Revan and move forward with it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So what do you plan on doing for the energy to try to get that day one? Like, do you mean like day one farming tickets, or do you mean like day one like Arnold, like have your energy saved?
Yeah, no, I mean day one farming tickets is what I
Okay.
mean. It's difficult to do a Galactic Legend on that day one with all the. So, I could start hoarding the energy at some point and get it done. Maybe it's something I'll look into. I have not. I have yet on this account, I don't actually. I'll say I've never unlocked a GL on day one
Yeah.
ever. So if I was going to do, say day one, maybe it's something I need to think about is how I can hoard up enough energy and get that on the account so I can do Ahsoka day one. So you've actually kind of opened my eyes to that. And I need to maybe think about how I'm going to get that done.
Yeah, like maybe like that. I think that would be great content, right? Like the unlock event, like everyone's going to be watching it. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a great possibility. You do sacrifice Kyrotech. It doesn't matter for tickets, right? Because you can use Canteen Energy, but you do lose some Kyrotech. But if your Kyrotech is healthy and I know you're probably buying like that $5 Kyrotech back a week for this. So yeah, I think that would be a great option, especially if you're going for like a day one ticket farm. So
There you go.
yeah, that could be fun. All right, but yeah, you're good account, very lean. For 2 years, fantastic progress, right? Like you don't see very many 2-year accounts that have this many level of development, R9s, fleets, what you're ready to unlock. So I like in a year, I would be scared to see where where this account would be with the level of progress that you're having right now. So it's quite.
The goal is to get this to an end game account a year from now. So
Yeah.
hopefully, and that's Kyber 1. For me, Kyber 1 is end game. So
Yeah.
that's the goal. We'll see if I can pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I do want to say you have a different level of farming for Datacrons, very similar to mine, but a little different. So I see it is smarter to take them to level 9 because then you can re-roll them more efficiently, right? And is that why you do the level 9s here?
It is, and I had a lot of resources available. The thing is, once you farm Datacrons and you get a whole set, when they deconstruct them, you get a lot of resources when they deconstruct them, so you're able to do a lot more with your future Datacrons.
Yeah, because with the Together as One, I specifically farmed the Datacrons that I needed, which I see you have all the good ones. You have Boss Nass, you have Padme, you have SLKR, and Revacrons, which I know you can't use that Reva one or like fully. You probably put some pretty good use with Padme if you have Padme. And then from there, I just farmed thick crons, like only specifically thick crons, as many as I can get. And it paid off. I think they're really universally good. You have a lot of Datacrons here for the purple ones.
Well, that's because I'm spending a lot of time on that tier 1 node to get the credits because I'm out of credits right now.
Yeah. Do you use your shard shop currency at all to get data cache?
I don't. Very rarely, I should say. So the Datacrons you're looking at, I have not spent a dime on them. I've never spent dollars on Datacrons ever.
Well, most people keep up with their data cache by using a shard shop currency. Yeah.
I rarely do that.
I haven't needed to, and usually because you comment that I had like about the same, but what I usually do is only the first month that they're out, I really farm Datacrons hard, and then the second month I really don't farm all that many, because the same thing, I don't want to use my shard shop currency to buy data cache, and that's what stops me is the data cache.
Yeah.
Because I honestly, like I have so many old things to farm that I use all that shard shop currency to get like the left side pieces. So I still need it. Yeah.
Yes.
So I believe in Datacrons. I have enough, but I think I'm getting to the point where once I start farming everything and I'm pushing closer to Kyber 1, I will have to prioritize like Datacrons and getting fully fleshed out, like going 2 months hard, probably doing 100 refreshes because I have the crystal income for it, for Conquest, so that I can have the level of competitiveness, which I haven't had to yet, but I think I'm getting close to the point where I'm going to have to start doing that to compete in Grand Arena. Yeah, but overall, thanks Nooch. I don't give scoring, but you have an impressive account. You have a good account, and that's like I'll give you my greatest honor, the golf clap. So, yeah. But I thank you for joining me today. This was absolutely a pleasure. An honor to me to be able to host you in my in between two reviews. So it was a blast. I really did enjoy looking at your account. I did try for months trying to get a review from you, submitting from your wheel.
Oh,
No,
okay.
as a viewer, you know, I just like would always throw my name in the hat. But you have so many people who want your reviews. You're in such high demand. You're a very popular fellow. So it was.
It's good to be popular in at least one aspect of my life. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, no, but I do appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you for reviewing my account. Thank you for allowing me to review yours and joining me. It was an absolute pleasure. So do you have anything to say on parting? I know you're.
No, man, it was a great convo. The one thing I'll say that I have noticed just in general from recently doing this account in the last year is that having the most recent teams is very impactful on your roster. And we talk about datacrons and mods, but having the Gungans on my front wall with that datacron has made such a difference on my roster. So there is a lot of premium placed on the most recent teams, especially as you and I climb and look to get into Kyber 1 over the next year or so. We'll have to be getting all those new teams. But, I have fun with the game. It's always changing, and I'm always looking to change with it. And, it was good to have a convo and good to sit down and talk today.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. So everyone, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. So take care.